Senator from Connecticut.
Thank you to all of my colleagues, most recently the senator from Wisconsin, but also Senators Burden, Durbin, Murphy, Klobuchar, Whitehouse. And yes, we're here to stand up for working families, as my colleague from Wisconsin has so powerfully said, and others of our colleagues who have told the stories. We're here about real people and real pain, sickness that they will endure, hands that won't be held, pocketbooks that will go empty, children who will go hungry. And yet, not a single Republican is on the floor, not a single one. You know, we've been here to tell stories, and we've told a lot of stories with a lot of numbers, and they all add up to people having to pay double or triple what they do now, but most of them unable to pay and still put food on the table, pay their rent or mortgages or electricity bills, and survive financially. People who will see crushing medical debt that will drive many of them into bankruptcy. These stories are about farmers, about small business people, about contractors, the self-employed people who don't have a big corporation to pay for their health insurance. It is about entrepreneurs and everyday Americans who otherwise will fall through the cracks. They're too old for Medicare. They make too much for Medicaid. They are not employed by a corporation. John F. Kennedy said, "Life is unfair." But we have an obligation to make it fairer. And it really is in all of our interests to make health care available, because that makes the economy not only fairer, but more effective. I don't believe my Republican colleagues share the abhorrent values of this president. I don't believe my Republican colleagues want to shut SNAP down for 42 million families with children, to weaponize hunger, to play politics with the lives of Americans who can't afford to put food on the table, and to break promises, as this president has done, to exploit the shutdown. My colleague from Rhode Island has said he thinks the president likes the shutdown. If the president wanted to end the shutdown, he could do it this afternoon, and it wouldn't take a week. It would take a few hours. All it would take is a commitment to extend the health care subsidies beyond the end of the year and give people the assurance that they can afford health insurance. They are making these decisions right now about whether to buy it or not. And they cannot, in Connecticut or anywhere else in the country, make those decisions responsibly if they are living with the uncertainty of whether these health care tax credits will continue. When I was a prosecutor, we used to say, follow the money. Follow the money. Let's follow the money. Pretty simple. Cuts in Medicaid, prospective cuts in Medicare, elimination of the health care tax credit subsidies, money that has gone to tax cuts for the billionaires. That is a threat to our democracy. That is a threat to our economy. The country lost a very well-known Republican in the last 24 hours, Dick Cheney, whom I came to know personally. And admired in the last stage of his life for standing up on principle to an anti-democratic president who was running again. He stood up with his daughter, Lynn. He was criticized and disliked by many for many things, but he stood on principle for democracy. I've thought often about our friend John McCain. Senator Durbin referred to him, and I can't put out of my mind, and I've been haunted by that moment, when John McCain stood next to the table in that corner and lifted his still broken arm to give a thumbs down to a repeal of the Affordable Care Act. He stood on principle. Today we're asking our Republican colleagues to stand on principle, stand up to a president who can be ruthless and retributive and just plain cruel. But Republicans have an obligation to something larger than this president, larger than the seats that they occupy here, as do we as well, which is to do the right thing for the American people. So I hope they will channel their inner John McCain and recognize that this shutdown has been forced on all of us by an administration unwilling to come to the table and simply compromise. It's not a four-letter word. It's what the American people expect us to do. It's what has always worked in the United States of America to enable us to overcome our divisions and our differences and to bring the country together. This is our moment to do it, and I hope we will. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.